know, y'all, it's your boy Herb.
And it's your girl Mo.
And welcome to our soon-to-be world-renowned podcast, Young, Black, and Figuring It Out. With the new mics. What up,
We
dog?
fancy.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Asylum Studios and Rock hooking us up with these. And we're going to try to behave and be in the direction because these are dynamic mics.
I don't know
Talking
what
like I know,
is.
but I'm just repeating stuff. But what's good?
What it do?
How you feeling?
Today, great. Yo, I slept a good 10 hours. They're going to be like, all you do is talk about sleep.
Yeah, but you said that last time.
I
Each
got
time,
no shame.
More sleep each time. It's okay.
I woke up like a brand new human. It was
Okay.
amazing.
You woke up like this.
But
Gotcha.
I ain't eat and I still feel good. You feel me?
Feeling great? Okay. Bet.
Sorry, excuse me. How you
I'm
feeling?
feeling? Oh, I'm feeling. I ain't gonna lie. I'm feeling amazing.
Well, por qué?
It's just like, why not? You know? It's like, why not? That's kind of like my base level. Something has to happen for me to feel bad. Like I think sometimes something has to happen for folks to feel good. Like the baseline is like below average. On a base level, like, I'm actually feeling good, and something has to happen for me to feel bad.
I love that. Yeah,
that's
speak
really-
that.
that's
That's some
really what it
peace.
is.
This man got peace. You feel me?
Yeah,
Hey.
perspective too.
Ooh.
Like it's like damn.
Sprinkle a little bit of that on me. You feel
Little
me?
perspective?
That's a hit.
Okay, it's all right. Do a little. But so let's start off and ask the all important question. What did you figure out
What did I figure out
this week?
Wow, that's
Or do you want me
great.
to hit it? Ray J, want me to go first? His verse?
Go right. Go right. You got one? Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to be equitable. I always ask you, and you never get a chance to really think and ponder.
It's like
then
I act as though I don't know this is happening. Like I completely forget
Okay,
to
for
think
sure.
through, hey, what'd you figure out this week?
Yeah.
I got you though.
Okay, bet. So who going?
Rock,
Rock, paper, scissors?
Money, mo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Go ahead then. I'm all for it.
Okay. What I figured out this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This week it's been I got this quote on my phone that I actually got from one of my guys, Quan. Shout out to Quan.
Hey.
Him and his players, because he coaches football, college football. Shout out to bro. They have a phrase. It's called reject passivity. Right? And so I like that. And that's just this idea of, it's easy to let things pass or be passive or be meek in all different kinds of ways and situations, right? For whatever reason it might be personal gain. Like, all right, let me just be passive here so that way I get what I want at the end. I'm not going to stand on what I believe in, or, let me be, maybe I don't have the energy to, to really fight this battle, or maybe it's fear.
Right.
Right. And so this idea of rejecting passivity is just really like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to be the opposite of passive, and I'm going to confront those things regardless and stand on those. And I like that concept. And so this week, I think there's multiple times where I caught myself doing that, the rejection part, like rejecting that, and I think that's becoming, I've always kind of been that way in a sense, but it always took like something to get me there. Right. Like I'm mad at something or something got me, like I'm bothered. Now, I'm confronting whatever it is. But what I'm realizing is doing that proactively is just as important. Like seeing stuff happening before it actually gets there and not being like, all right, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to wait and see what the outcome is. I'm waiting and then respond. Like, no, I'm proactive.
What like areas did you see that manifest in the most?
The passivity?
Yeah, like where you felt like you had to actively fight that.
I would say in areas where I think we all kind of can relate to this is that affects my own self-interest. Like if me confronting this thing is going to potentially harm, and for me, my self-interest is advancement. Just being real. Like the drive based on childhood and the trauma from that has turned me into always wanting to be progressive and go forward.
Very true.
So if me being combative or confronting something that's going to like stop that, then I wouldn't do it, or have to wait until it's to a point where I have to act. Like, all right, now I got to get on it because it's getting too disrespectful, or it's really pressing up against my morals. Like, nah, I can't do this. That's where I saw those, and so yeah, where does my self-interest lie? Or what are some examples, maybe?
Thank you. I was like, so I don't have to ask. Go ahead.
Yeah. What are some examples? Actually, that's a great question that I asked myself. I'm glad I asked myself that question because I got to think about that. I don't. Like, I have some examples that maybe I don't want to share, or not ready to share.
That's okay.
Because I want to be delicate about my story and other people's stories. But yeah. Oh, I think that did come from some of this too was my family, like me and my pops. For a long time, just didn't feel as courageous to confront him. And I think at a time, it was like early 20s, it was just like, nah, I don't agree. I don't like this. And, you know, he always wanted the best for me in that sense, but it wasn't, he wanted the best for me his way, in a way. The same way I do to other folks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I appreciated it, though, because it's the way he knew. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't the best for me. So, like, at a certain point, once I got over that barrier, then everybody got it. Like, you all going to get the smoke.
Lord. But that's real.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So
me.
That's what I figured out this week.
Right. I think I figured out a bunch of things, but probably the overall arching theme was other people's feelings and thoughts and desires and wants should have less to do with what I want and how I feel and what I need to do. I don't need the fame.
No, that's dope. That's dope.
But
listen, I'm encouraging you.
Thank you. That's not easy because I don't think I'm always aware that I will act or do based off of someone else's, you know, like feelings or like support, whatever it is they're dealing with. It's like, oh, they may need this, so let me tiptoe or ensure that they got that. So putting other people's needs and prioritizing what they need well ahead of my own, and almost acting as though my needs, they're fine. They don't exist. You know what I mean? Whether they get met or not. And I'm gonna shout out people that I can't shout out, but like my clients have really shown me that, and it was very. It's just very eye-opening for me to realize it's like, oh, if I'm asking you this question on what it is you want in this relationship, and every answer you're answering has to do with what they want, that's not okay for you. You are more than this relationship. You are a whole person regardless, right? Whatever happens with them, you are still here. And me having to preach that to someone else taught me I'm not preaching that to myself. It's like, And that's not even like I'm not in a relationship in that sense of the way, but I interact with people daily. And it's always about what everyone else needs. And there comes a point where it's like, I cannot care. It's not even rude. I cannot care for you more than I care for myself.
Okay.
And I'm refusing to allow that. So yeah, I'm taking some time.
Do you do that with particular people or like are there like groups of people, family, work, like where does that arise the most? You would say. I
don't understand why you don't love me. Why you always gotta make me narrow down these things?
Nah, for real, like that thing. I think that's big. I modeled that and put out a name. Come on.
You ain't getting no name. No, I think it's everyone in all respect. It's mostly like people who will see me more daily or weekly. So work. Love y'all, but not more than myself. And like,
hey, that's real talk, though.
You know, family. It does not matter.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
and I feel like no one will care about me or ensure that I'm happy and healthy more than I can. You know, no one will know if I'm suffering laying down in a ditch. That's a fact. That is most important. I mean, maybe watching Squid Game also gave me some, you know, eye-opening. Squid Game.
I ain't hip yet.
It's on Netflix.
I'm not hip yet, but
it's this Korean
it's
show.
New? Okay.
The memes are great, but this is just a whole game of like winning this money and you die if you get eliminated is pretty much the premise. And so your self-interest has to come up, right? Yeah. That's the most important thing. It's like you can have a partner, you can have someone looking out for you, but when it comes down to it, only you got you. Yeah. And so, you know, non-Squid Game self, just that's where I am this week.
Yep, I get that. Okay. Yeah. That's tough.
Let me know if I cross the line of being like hella rude or something.
I got you. Nah, I think that's right. You listen, it's nobody gonna care about you like you. I've said that for the longest. Like when it come down to it, as much as people, it's just it's hard. Like the closest thing we'll get to is that parental, and even that, as I'm learning, as I'm in the age where people are like real parents. You know, not just the idea of thinking like this is what parenthood look like. Like people are real parents.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like, oh no, actually, just because you're a parent don't mean not all of a sudden you are self-sacrificing to your kids. There's some folks who not even close in that space. So
very true.
Yo, it's hard to your self-interest. Like you gotta.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and people don't give parents enough credit who make it through, because psychologically that is a toll.
It's word. I don't know nothing about it. Well, actually, that's not true. I know a little something. Hey, I'm the oldest of 6, y'all, so I ain't gonna hold you.
I knew that was coming too.
Brother done had kids. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
For sure. That's dope.
Yeah.
All right, well, I ain't gonna lie. Today's topic, it's gonna be tough. And I feel like I'm gonna be in the hot seat, but I'm gonna put you in the hot seat with this too.
It's not hot, it's a little lukewarm, but I'm good.
Yeah, can we keep it a buck with the audience about
when I not like I'm always gonna keep it a buck.
Look, we wanted to just be honest and authentic, so we're gonna freestyle. We'll talk about that later.
I love how you say it like we don't
always freestyle. Yeah, we always freestyle.
Like,
but yeah, y'all, this is gonna be like, this is raw. We gonna work through this. This is gonna be dope.
Let's see what we figure out today.
But yeah, this idea of how toxic is toxic masculinity, and is masculinity toxic itself? Like let's unpack that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, what is masculinity? And how do we define that?
Please define it for me.
I'm gonna define it on my own, but let's actually I want to pull out.
You would.
Yes. Let's.
And I'm asking
really do
you
this.
because I believe you would self-describe as a masculine man.
What make you say that?
Based off of our conversation in generals, the way that you describe or see manliness, like what a man is.
Yeah.
That's how you aspire to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, yes, let's Google it, but at the same time,
I'm gonna have to get my own how I feel about it. Okay.
Because you live it.
That's real. First, yeah, you made a good point. This is just kind of like a spinoff to Generals and getting into like, that was like a high level, like an overview from the balcony.
Spinoff though.
This is a spinoff into.
We'll start having a little mini series. That's what you make it sound so.
Actually, this is it. This is a mini series. Okay, masculine from Webster or Oxford. Well, there should be a black dictionary, but because Oxford surely was not black. Having qualities or appearance traditionally associated with men.
This is broad.
And because it's like, what's traditionally associated with men?
Based off culture, that could change.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So they didn't help us. So that was another for us.
So your definition is probably going to be way better.
Yeah. I think masculinity is like, it is this, for people who want to align with it, masculinity is this thing that roots you in an identity that feels powerful. And strong and present and dominant and all of those things, like roots you in that. And in a way, like when you're fully immersed in that, when you're somebody who wants to be masculine, you feel powerful, strong, and invincible, and just like you feel that, right? The flip side of those things, because everything has a shadow side, like too much into that, I think you become aggressive and agitated and controlling, you know? But yeah, I think that's what roots masculinity in that sense. And I think is, in a way, I think people view masculinity associated with men and things that are, like, go along with that. So certain colors and certain clothes and certain walks and all of that.
Interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, it's really like this presence and this energy, these characteristics that I mentioned earlier, that's masculinity. You know?
So does that shadow side now mean that's the toxic one? Like that's when it becomes toxic, if you live too heavily in the shadow.
Let's unpack it. Hey, is that right? Is that from? I would say yes. Right, with a bunch of more details to be unpacked. But yes, I think when you, and let me say this. I think when masculinity becomes your identity, and then you then put that on other people, and that's your standard of, and you assign it to gender, or you assign it to people's success, or assign it to their worth and value, right? I think that then becomes some of the challenges, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that I think can be toxic, and I think it's both internal and external.
Okay.
That gets into that.
Because I'm like, why would someone live in that space so heavily? Are they overcompensating? Like, what leads some people to live in that shadow and to almost exude out such toxicity on a regular basis, to the point where they mask it in, this is what it means to be a man. You know what I mean? Like, they're not very aware that what they're putting out, nobody's trying to pick up.
Ooh, a little bar right there. So you asking, like, why do people live in that?
Yeah, like,
man,
what
safe.
leads to that?
It's safe. It's safety in that. And from a man, like, if I present as the most manly man, I'm protected, right? Like, I'm protected from criticism from the outside, and it's a defense mechanism that could be against anything unsafe or any attack. Especially, I think one of the most, well, outside the machismo culture, like, I think one of the most masculine cultures is black urban culture, right? In the way we would define urban, right? Like, our black culture, like that is one of the most masculine cultures. But we had to be, like, think about how I describe strong and dominant,
Right?
Like, when you feel under attack, and when you were really think about this, bred to be masculine, like, when you think about, and everything, history is a continuum.
True.
Nothing is in a vacuum. You're bred to be masculine. So you're kidnapped, put on a boat, enslaved, and here, the strongest men, like, there used to be fights, slave fights, right? Like, from the strongest men. And then the strongest, most dominant men who can go out and produce the most work, the most value. So that's bred into your culture. So, like, that mindset continues throughout.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I think it's safe. Is that what you think? Do you think people are resting? Do you see men, like, leaning into masculinity because of safety, or what reasons do you think?
Well, honestly, you saying that made way more sense. I'm like, oh, I mean, if you spoke on it weeks ago, if you show vulnerability, that's a sign of weakness. And so, in order to protect yourself or to ensure that no harm comes to you for some, however, that could be from any sort of force, you don't know, you have to present as strong and dominant and everything's secure and good. And it's interesting because you said, like, whoever subscribes to it, and it's like, not generally, because I can't speak to everyone, but women over the course of history are looking for safety and security. So, like, once a man is presenting that way, sometimes even if it is toxic, you're kind of warped into thinking this is manliness, this is masculine, this is strength, even if it's violent and abusive and domineering, So I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's hard, I think, for some men to open up and break down those walls, because the moment they do, they know they're not safe. And there are some people, men, women, whoever, who will attack or who will call, just like almost like dig in to that small part of you that needs love and support, but only seems to get attacked. I get that.
Yeah, when you show any weakness, it's there. And then you brought up a good point. It's a bunch of good points that stem from what you said.
Thank you.
Like, do you?
My bad.
But no, it was the laugh for me, y'all. Why? Thank you. It's the voice inflections. But do you? Man, I can go so many ways with this. But would you say? Is it attractive to? Because I think the opposite, like pure masculinity, the opposite of that is pure femininity, right? Like pure feminine. And so, like
if this was a spectrum, like the one end to the next.
One end to the next. You got masculinity, femininity. Did I say that right?
If this is the spectrum we're on, not saying they're not multiple spectrums, but this is the one we're talking about.
These are two ends,
right?
Like, I think a part of that drive is to attract that energy. Like, that's why people lean into that so hard. And so, is it actually attractive from your lens?
See now, you can ask Mo. as Mo. You can't ask Mo to represent nobody else.
Or think like in general what you've seen, because you mentioned you got clients you can't name, you got folks that you work with, you are very observant of life. From like, so your perspective and in general, do you think like, is that attractive?
Yes. I mean, I'm gonna speak for myself on this one. Yeah, yes. I'm just saying. I don't know where they at. I don't know. I haven't seen too many, but yes, it's very attractive.
And what's attractive about it? You would say?
I think it really does lean to what you were saying, the safety and the security. So like we've talked about the level of protection that you would like to deliver out on a regular basis. Right. But like women have been viewed for a majority of life as the weaker sex, as the people who need protection, who need, not coddled, but you protect them while they nurture you, right? Kind of thing. So that's the yin and the yang there. And so a woman who may prescribe to, I am going to be the nurturing, supportive, encouraging, like the second one there, like, the neck for your head. And I want you to protect me or show that no one can just grab me or touch me or do anything like that. Like that is, I can say yes, because like I told you, growing up New York City, all up in Brooklyn, the way, if you're walking by yourself, the way you are targeted feels so frightening. I do not want to cry today, but it is easy to feel alone or like something can happen, right? Like I've been followed. I've had cars stop or like slow down to try to say something to me. I've been cursed out. You never know. And it's so uncomfortable all the time. Like you're just always on edge. So if you do meet someone or you're with someone who you can trust, who you know will keep you safe or has like some innate desire to want to keep you safe, it means so much. Like you're already like 10 steps ahead of the game when that's there. Right. And I mean, that doesn't even mean that he needs to be like the biggest guy, the tallest guy, the strongest guy, nothing like that. But if his attitude is like, I got you no matter what, I will lay my life on the line for you. That really does go a long way. Yeah. So I think some people get warped into he has to put his jacket down over every puddle. It's like,
that could cost too much.
I think we both could hop. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's some things that people get a little too like tight wound on when really at the end of the day, I want to know that when I'm emotionally breaking, you'll be like, what's going on? Talk to me. Like you can be there as much as if someone did physically try to attack me. Yeah. Even if I think I can hold my own, you got my back. You here with me? Yeah. So what?
Like that. And to be fair to the audience and everyone listening, like femininity and masculinity is not assigned to gender. So you can have like it is and has been, but it doesn't have to be. So you could be. So what we're saying is you could be a woman and more masculine or a man and more feminine. That's also part of the toxicity, though, is that we assign those to gender, right?
I don't know who this we is. We didn't do it, but we have lived in a society that.
But folks do that, right? Yes, as a culture. But no, you're right though, and I think too, it's almost like the definitions of what. So that everything you described is dope, and that's healthy masculinity. I think when we get in trouble is where the definition is kind of like of some of those things, like strength and providing safety and whatever else it might be, it's a tie to certain things. So for example, I didn't used to think like a guy who could listen to his partner and connect emotionally and cry. Even me saying that was tough. And
I see that.
Yeah, and
cringed,
like really show weakness or vulnerability. Like I didn't think that was strong. Like I had that. That wasn't strength to my definition. As I'm learning more, like that takes more strength. Yeah. To do that. And so that's where I think we get into trouble. Is we assign some of those things to. I think unnecessarily. Yeah. To whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, that's a level of emotional intimacy, which just leads to, like, closeness, right? Which most of the time women is just like, open your heart to me. Like, I just want to know who you are. I'm here for you. And they want to build that type of trust. So it's almost like the opposite. So in the house or, you know, away from the world, I got you, because when we're out there, I know you got me, right? Like, it's that balance. But it's very difficult when a guy almost is too held on to, no, I have to be like this and that, and it becomes, like you said, controlling or domineering or abusive. Like, it can lead to all these negative things, and they don't seem to understand that's not okay. Like, that's not healthy. That's not love. But they're almost warped into thinking, no, this is exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's such a fact. Yeah. And even, so if we start to work through the ways some of, like, toxic masculinity might manifest, and, like, here's areas. If I start to pick some of those areas out, so we talked a little bit about relationships, but even with our interactions with other men, like, when me and my guys out, I know, and we still do this to this day, and we working on it. So shout out to my guys. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Most of us still do this to this day. Like, we are on, this is the toxic piece. It's not just about safety and security. It's like we on an offense almost. Like, we're so far on the defense, we're on the offense. Like, we look angry.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Like when we out, it's like we don't present as approachable, especially depending on where we at. Yeah. Especially with other men involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's leaning into toxic, because it's like, I don't want to look weak. So it's a show of strength.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Because again, no brothers, right? And my dad went to work, he came home. I mean, I don't know what men were doing outside. But I remember, can I tell this story?
What is this story?
It's our first time meeting. 2010, like August or September.
Go ahead. Go. I mean, I'm not ashamed. Just what, but yeah, tell the story.
So, like, we had a mutual friend in college. This was Herb's first year, and I met you. I remember in Garlock, and I want to say you had your cap on.
Had my hat on.
But I promise you, who I met that day is not the man I know today. It was polar opposite. It was you didn't have not a smile.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you looked angry at the world, and you looked at me almost like, why are you in my face? And he wasn't even rude. Like, he spoke. I think we shook hands, but I'm like, all right. And I remember thinking within me, I want no parts. So
I don't want nothing to do with this man.
And the worst part is, like, our mutual friend was hyping you up. Like, he was full of black boy joy. There was there was never any, like, squandering that outside. He was just a very lovable type person.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so he's like, yo, this is my boy Herb. I want you to meet everybody. And I was like, all right, Herb.
Not the name.
But it really took a few weeks before I could see who you really were. Yeah. Like, it was just full defense, very guarded, but always very kind. Like, you were pleasant. You weren't disrespectful. You didn't say anything rude. You were just not speaking. Yeah. Very stoned. And I'm like stone cold. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Not stoned. I wasn't high. But yeah.
My bad.
But nah.
I joke. I kid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you're right though.
Yeah.
And that's coming coming from Detroit. People might not know this. That is an angry city. I love Detroit.
I did not know this. Yeah.
But it is I remember coming up here with my pops, and we had we like went to the gas station, went to get something to eat, and we walking through, and this other black man brothers, we walking through. Oh, what's going on? So me and my pops like, oh, what's up? Because in the city, we call Detroit the city. In the city, it's like you're not getting that. Most of the time, it's changing now, but at that time, it was none of that. Like, you look at somebody, y'all look back. It's like, if you look too long, so yo, what you looking at? It's a problem. So when I got here, it was just natural. Yeah. I was just angry.
Which is crazy because, I mean, as a woman walking through Brooklyn, I don't think, it's that different. Right. But I'm a girl, so I'm getting a lot of smiles and like they trying to say something. Right. So I really wasn't accustomed. Ain't no dude just mean mugging me. Yeah. That don't make no sense. Facts. But I do remember my dad took me and my sister to Barbados the first time. Everyone greets you. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. I'm like, Dad, what is up? Like, what is the problem? So when you said that, I was like, oh yes, that makes sense because I we don't be doing that in the city.
Right.
But at the same time, I know if I do see a guy, because I'm usually walking by myself, I always try to smile or greet to offset any potential to get kidnapped. Because I don't know what kind of man this is. I'm like, he could try to kill me. So, good morning. And, you know, like, oh, she was nice. I don't want to hurt her. That's what you think.
Well, stuff. Yeah, she good.
So I'm like, no, that's a good point.
But that's actually different too. That makes sense. Like, they're looking at you with more feminine energy.
Right.
And it's like, oh, yeah, that's the opposite, because that is to attract that, not repel that.
Right.
And that's the toxic masculinity piece. Even with little small things, like how this manifests. I remember we would say something, and it would like be, and it would sound like a reference to anything sexual, and you talking to one of your guy friends, like, yo, no homo.
Yes.
Or pause.
Yes.
As if like now me saying something that sounds like sexual to one of my guy friends, now it's like now I'm gay, or now I'm less masculine. And like though like that, you know, it's just so many ways I think we lean into that toxicity that it just shows that, and it's sexuality in general. Like that is huge around masculinity. Like your identity a lot of the times is even wrapped into your sexuality. Yeah. When it comes to masculine energy, like, and how you present that.
Like you can't be no cornball.
Yo, for sure.
It's crazy. Like Carlton's, you know, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Can't do that either. You know what I mean? There's so many, there's like rules to how you should be as a man and to ensure that you are masculine, to be seen as such. This is, you know what I mean? Like these are the 3 lanes you could walk through. Other than that, it's a problem.
And I don't know. I think, you think that's changing right now? You think we're, okay, how? Like, I was confident, yes. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think these young rappers are making it cool to be more yourself or to do things that aren't necessarily masculine. Like the thing, you know what I mean? So like Lil Yachty be painting his nails on a regular. I don't see him getting as much hate like he would have 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like guys came back with growing out your hair and taking care of your hair. Like, do you understand what it means to be a natural?
And tight jeans.
Them skinny jeans that you are not about, which is okay. But fitted jeans have come in where it's like, they don't need to be baggy. Yeah. That's okay. There's a bunch of things that I feel like have been okayed more or been more allowed. Like I remember there was a thing where I just saw someone post it on Facebook too, like what ear can your boy's ears be pierced? It's like, is that a thing anymore? I remember that. Because now they just get both pierced. It's not even.
Yeah, it used to be like, if you get the right, now you gay.
Right.
But if you get the left, it's like, what?
Like who made this stuff up? None of it's even real. Y'all. It doesn't make sense. But I feel like this generation, like what is this, Gen Z? Yeah. Gen Z's coming in full-fledged.
Millennials kind of did that. We kind of started that way, millennials. And now Gen Z is taking it over.
We could take the credit we need, but I'm going to let them have all this because they really doing it up. I mean, guys, Cameron came in wearing pink, but guys now wearing all kinds of colors, different prints. It's just like...
It's dope. It's dope.
Be you. Feel how you want to feel. And I have not seen anyone going like, oh, why are you doing this? It's a lot of encouragement.
Yeah, you're right. It's dope. Yeah, I do think it is changing. And even something as small as like, talk about the young rappers, and one of my favorite rappers in this era is Lil Durk. Yes. He has so he got and one of my Detroit rappers, T Grizzly. Both of them have they both got their girlfriends, and Durk be like posting her up and holding her hand, and one picture she was carrying him on her back, like she was carrying him, and like 10 years ago, that wouldn't have really been a thing. I mean, even in my own personal experience, like I used to, like, if I went out, like when I had a girlfriend, or I was like talking to somebody or something like that, and they wanted to hold hands, it's over.
Which I never understood. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm not holding your hand in public.
Make it make sense.
Because it's like, I'm not having us be a target because now I'm looking so nice and sweet and I'm holding your hand. So no, I'm not gonna do that.
I actually didn't know that was your reason.
Like I'm keeping. Yeah, I'm not doing it. So that was before though, but that was a part of the toxic masculinity. Like I had to present strong.
That actually makes sense because I mean, as your friend back in the day, I'm big on locking arms. Right? I don't know if it's the support. I don't know what it was. Mostly, I think I walk with people who walk faster than me, so I'd be trying to stay up. But you were so anti it, and I'm like, so I just learned to keep my hands to myself. Like I don't even tap you. I'm like, let me leave this.
Hey, look, yeah.
That's real. Oh.
But that was the thing. Like I was just talking to, he wouldn't mind me sharing this with my pops about that. Like, yo, that was the wave. Like, that's what you didn't do. You wasn't doing that. Like, he didn't do that. The men in my family, a lot of them wasn't doing that. Like, we're not out walking down, skipping, holding hands.
In a very non-rude way. I feel like that did not bode well for strong relationships to be formed.
With you mean the lack of public displays of affection?
Yeah, because I mean, it was to the point of like, don't you like? I don't want no parts of that, and not even like let me explain that. Like, baby, I just need to make sure. It's like, no, don't touch me type of thing is how it feels, or at least how it felt.
Yeah, I get you.
So I'm like, I can't see how that worked out well for relationships if that was like a big no. Like
that makes sense. And I think what will happen is like, the relationship can work out. You could grade and flourish, but you miss out on something that's like intimacy and like, feeling seen and valued from your partner. You know what I'm saying? When they holding your hand or like all of those things you miss out on because you can't, or you tell yourself you can't because of masculinity. So yeah, you're right. It's a huge gap that's not being filled. When that happens because of toxic masculinity. Even like talking to your guy friends, honestly, you ain't talking about, yo, did this hurt you, bro? Like, that almost feel like, no, that didn't hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm good. Like, it's over.
Right.
And I think that's really like, I think that is a huge barrier. You can't get as in depth.
I learned that late. I think you told me that late because praise the Lord for me. I've had the privilege of like having male friends who talk feelings.
Yeah.
I might have been the reason they're talking feelings because I ask a lot of questions, but I did not know that wasn't a thing. And I remember like having some female friends look at me sideways like, what y'all be talking about? Everything. What do you mean? Like,
I remember this.
Pain, heartache, whatever it could be. Like, yeah, like what they going through? I'm just going to learn.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize men weren't doing that with each other. And I'm like, oh. That's why y'all so angry. I don't know.
Yo, that's hilarious. That's what it is. You can't get this out, yo. Yeah.
But then let me ask you, because you have said so many things. I'm like, are you saying that you, in fact, were a toxic masculine man?
Yeah. And I'm recovering, which means that you relapse every now and then. But yes, yes, I'm guilty, y'all. Toxic masculinity right here.
Wow, yeah. I think you should open a support group at this point.
No,
that's not a bad idea.
That's a tough not-for-profit right there. Detoxifying masculinity.
I'll take my percentage. Thank you. They saw it on here.
Yeah, incorporate. We might cut this out so nobody steal the idea before we do it.
That's not a bad point either.
Yeah, actually, no, that's a horrible idea. Don't ever do that. Don't nobody ever do that. But nah, facts. But yeah, so what, last thing, y'all, because we in here chopping it up and yucking it up and, we going way over our allotted time. What if, like, you being so amazing at your marriage and family therapy, how would you therapize a man who's trying to get out of the toxic life? Like, if you were talking to me, if this is 2011 Herb, and you were saying, hey, listen, you pretty toxic with your masculinity. You got to get out of it. What's something that you would say? What's the technique?
Funny enough, I feel like we probably had those conversations in non-direct ways.
Yeah,
but
you snuck me. Snuck me with those, yeah.
I think there's levels. So like therapy, I will always push for. Like seeking therapy is not a bad thing. Like it's, even if there's nothing wrong going on, there's things that you should break through and work through because we all have some forms of trauma, right? Yes. To work through. And I want to say shout out to us both for like saying what we were going to do early in December and working on ourselves.
Oh, therapist?
You feel me?
Yeah, shout out to my therapist. She's tough.
Shout out to my therapist. He's amazing.
Ooh, okay, but yeah.
But outside of that, in case you can't afford it for whatever purpose or reason, or you just don't have the time at this moment, I'm big on tapping into what it is you used to do as a child that brought you joy. So like a lot of people like to color or paint or draw, or they're big on writing, or it's music, whatever it is, tap into that more. And a lot, like not just the like workout rap songs that you listen to, like the high beats things, listen to the stuff that kind of settles your spirit down and kind of like relaxes you. People meditate, people ground, go for walks in nature, things like that to like quiet your mind, sit by water like you like to do. Sometimes it works just in the shower.
Yeah.
Just being there a little bit long, get pruny. It's okay. And let what thoughts kind of wash over you and like talk about them. Let them out in a healthy, constructive way. Don't scream, don't shout. If you have a trusted person, if it's just one trusted person, share it. They may not be able to give you the type of insight you need, hence therapy, but getting that out and getting you processing it,
it's gonna be good.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you recommend since you've gone through and are working through and still recovering?
I think it's addressing the why. I mean, doing everything you just said, I think it's a great time and moment to address the why. Like, okay, if you really think about it, why won't I hold my lady's hand when I'm walking down the street? Like, if you really get to the root and continue, like, I don't want to look weak. Why does that look weak? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, damn, because other people are gonna see me and think he's holding this lady's hand, and so he must not be strong. And so when you,
where's the evidence for that?
Yo,
that
for
happened.
real.
Yeah.
No, you think about that, it's like, nah, like, okay, this person's in a relationship, like, right? Or this person's just enjoying being with somebody,
right?
And it's like when you really start to break down some of those why things, like, why won't I? Yeah. Why if my guy asks me if I'm okay and I'm not, why will I say yes?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why do I got to be stronger in front of my guy? Are we in competition? Should we be? Like, all those things. I think when you start to really get to the root and just ask yourself why and get space.
You know why that's so good? Because you'll get to the point where you realize, I keep putting it on them.
Yeah.
Like, people, I'm caring about what people, no, you're uncomfortable holding her hand.
Yes.
Like, it's not everybody else. It's like you. Why do you feel uncomfortable doing this?
Yes.
Or like, oh my gosh, this, like, and me and my guys in competition. Like, do you feel insecure around them? Is there a reason about that? You know what I mean? But nah, that's what you're saying. I'm like, yes. And when you start to realize that it's not about everybody else and you're focusing on you, you're making strides.
That right there, that's what toxic masculinity is insecurity. That's all it is. Like, that could be the synonym.
Yeah.
When you break it down to its core, it's insecurity.
Let Oxford know.
Yo, change your definition, Oxford. What you doing? So no, we for real. Actually, we can come back, circle back, and talk about that. But right now, you know what they probably thinking?
I'm tired of you. I'm so sick.
They probably like, what in the world are they talking about? But you know what? Look, we might be right.
We might be wrong.
But at the end of the day, we just young, black, and figured it out.
CC on the track, boy.